Have you ever wished to be unshakable, immune to criticism, rejection, loss, or betrayal? Have you dreamed of finally stopping that silent, gnawing pain that eats at you inside, even when you appear fine? Maybe you're tired of pleasing everyone, maintaining an image that demands constant strength, when all you want is a moment to rest from the pressure of being untouchable. Here's a truth few dare to say. Avoiding pain only gives it more control. Numbing, hiding, or protecting yourself makes you a hostage to everything around you, the words that hurt, the actions that disappoint, the silences that kill inside. This isn't weakness, it's reality. Some just hide it better. Carl Jung said, "We are not what happens to us, but what we choose to become." True, strength isn't shielding yourself from the world, it's integrating it. It's bringing to light everything you hide in the dark. Strength is not the absence of pain, but full awareness of who you are, even while bleeding. If you've made it this far, you're ready. This is for those tired of hurting over everything and everyone, feeling emotionally powerless. The pain you feel isn't caused by others, it's what their actions awaken within you. Old trauma, unhealed wounds, emptiness disguised with pride or strength, all this amplifies the pain. Jung teaches that external suffering mirrors what hasn't been integrated inside. Some survive devastation with clarity, others crumble over a comment. It's not what happens, but where it lands. You suffer because you believe you can control how the world treats you. Control is an illusion, and clinging to it creates tension. Trying to predict the unpredictable. Stop protecting yourself from suffering. You need awareness, not control. Others don't need to change for your pain to stop. Freedom begins when you understand that external events only hurt if there's an echo inside. The real battlefield is the unconscious. What you don't see, understand, or master controls you. The pain, anger, and sadness you experience are messages from forgotten, ignored, or repressed parts of you. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate. You wonder why certain words destroy you. It's because they touch sensitive, unresolved parts of yourself. Ignoring them only makes them manifest in toxic patterns, self-sabotage and anxiety. Condemnation doesn't free, it oppresses. True freedom comes from facing and integrating your unconscious, not defending against it. Stop running from what's inside. The more you try to protect yourself from external pain, the more vulnerable you are to internal pain. Becoming untouchable is not resistance, it's deep self-knowledge. This is the path to real transformation, and it begins with awareness. What does it truly mean to be unshaken? And why does true strength come not from armor, but from acceptance? Most people think the only way to avoid pain is by shutting themselves off. They build walls, wear masks, and create emotional armor, pretending nothing affects them. I don't care anymore, they say. Nothing gets to me. Yet inside they continue to bleed. The issue was never feeling. It's not knowing what you feel and why. This happens only to those who haven't yet truly known themselves. Jung said, know all the theories, master all the techniques, but when touching a human soul, be just another human soul. The soul you hide behind a strong, invulnerable, controlled persona is screaming to be seen. Emotional strength isn't about coldness, avoiding pain, or pretending not to care. It's about integrating, accepting, and bringing into the light what you've buried in the dark. You become untouchable not by building barriers, but by embracing what lies within. When you integrate your shadows, fears, flaws, and insecurities, you stop reacting automatically. You are no longer a puppet of emotions. That is true freedom. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming who you really are, not who others expect or who you thought you should be to be accepted. Individuation is not perfection. It's integration. You don't need to be better. You need to be whole. Here's the secret. The more you run from pain, the more it follows. Trying not to be affected makes you fragile. But when you face your wounds, accepting all of yourself, the beautiful and the ugly, the noble and the shameful, nothing outside can dismantle you. This path requires courage, the courage to look within, abandon masks, and truly feel. Pain holds the key to transformation. Suffering is not your enemy. It's the messenger of your soul, the alarm of the unconscious, the language your self uses to get your attention. Ignored, pain disguises itself as anxiety, anger, boredom, or self-destructive impulses until one day, without warning, everything collapses. You suffer because you are still at war with yourself. One part wants to grow, another wants to stay the same. This friction births pain. Growth hurts. Letting go hurts. Cutting toxic ties hurts. But in this ruin, something new can be born. When everything inside you is deconstructed, when certainties crumble, you finally see who you really are, without masks or performance. Suffering becomes sacred because it brings you to your knees before the only thing that can set you free, yourself. Individuation is the journey of tearing off the persona, facing your monsters, shame, anger, and neediness, and saying, I see you, and you no longer control me. This internal clarity creates a strength, independent of approval or recognition. True emotional armor is not a shell, it's integration. You may feel pain, but you are unbroken. You may be hurt, but you do not lose yourself. This depth comes at a price, distance and loneliness. Few can accompany you because most are still on the surface. This distancing is not rejection, it is maturation. You no longer fit where you once hid. Finally, what shields you is not strength, it's clarity. Consciousness is the state in which nothing, absolutely nothing, has power over you. Awakening is not magical. It's a daily choice, looking within, taking responsibility, accepting what is, and no longer blaming others. Jung said, what you resist persists. What you accept transforms. True emotional immunity is not hardness, it is clarity. Understanding your triggers and wounds takes the power from external events. You still feel, but you no longer drown. You still suffer, but you no longer lose yourself. The world may try to knock you down, but it no longer finds where to hit. Integration, presence, and acceptance create an unshakable center. If this speaks to you, write in the comments. I choose awareness. Begin. A movement of those who no longer survive by pretending to be strong, but live with truth. Keep going. The journey is not over. Real transformation begins when you don't stop at the first step. You still suffer so much because, on some level, you believe you can control how the world should treat you. You try to be good enough, smart enough, strong enough, understanding enough, as if that guarantees no one will hurt you. But control is an illusion. As long as you cling to it, you live in constant tension, trying to predict the unpredictable, avoiding the inevitable. Do you want to stop suffering? Then stop protecting yourself from it. What you need is not more control, but more awareness. As long as you believe others must change for you to stop feeling pain, you remain enslaved by their actions. Freedom begins the moment you understand that nothing from the outside can hurt you unless it finds an echo within. And this is exactly where the true battlefield lies, the unconscious. What you cannot see, understand, or master, masters you. The unconscious is not vague or passive. It is a force, a system of memories, traumas, desires, and fears that silently shape how you feel and act. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That is what is happening to you now. The pain, the anger that erupts without warning, the sadness that invades. For no reason, they are messages from parts of you that have been ignored, forgotten, or repressed. You wonder why some words destroy you, while others don't seem to matter. It's because those words touch alive, unresolved points inside you, points you have never faced, only pushed under the psychological rug. And now you keep tripping over them. Jung said we cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation doesn't liberate, it oppresses. Yet most of us judge, repress, and silence ourselves as if that solves anything. The unconscious doesn't vanish because you ignore it. It finds more dangerous ways to manifest in toxic relationships, self-sabotaging patterns, anxieties, and fears that arise even when life seems fine. This is not bad luck. It is your unconscious trying to wake you up, but you insist on sleeping. Do you want to stop being hurt? Stop running from what lies inside. As long as your unconscious controls you, you are a puppet of your emotions. And the more you protect yourself from external pain, the more vulnerable you become to internal pain. The way out is not defense. It is integration. Becoming untouchable is not resistance. It is deep knowledge. You become untouchable not by walls or armor, but by facing what you hide. You become unshaken by embracing your fears, shadows, and wounds, and by seeing the human soul you keep behind your strong, controlled persona. That hidden soul is screaming to be seen. Becoming emotionally strong is not about being cold. It's not about ignoring pain, avoiding conflict, or pretending not to care. True strength comes from integrating, accepting, and bringing to light everything you've buried in the dark. You do not become untouchable by building barriers. You become untouchable when you embrace what lies within. When you integrate your shadows, fears, flaws, and insecurities, you stop reacting to everything around you. You choose. You are no longer an emotional puppet. That is real freedom. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are. Not who others expect you to be, not who you thought you should be to be accepted, but what emerges from within, from the meeting of light and shadow between ego and unconscious. Individuation is not perfection. It is integration. You do not need to be a better person. You need to become whole. Here's a secret no one tells you. The more you run from pain, the more it follows. Trying not to be affected makes you fragile. But when you face your wounds, accepting all of yourself, the beautiful and ugly, noble and shameful, nothing outside can dismantle you. This path requires courage, courage to look within, courage to abandon masks, courage to feel. Pain is where the key to transformation lies. Suffering is not an enemy. It is the messenger of the soul, the alarm of the unconscious. Ignored, it disguises itself as anxiety, anger, apathy, boredom, or self-destructive impulses. Untended, it digs tunnels within until, without warning, everything collapses. Jung taught that depression or pain is a message, not a failure. It asks for your attention. If you ignore it, distract yourself, or numb yourself, you avoid what truly matters. Suffering hurts because there is still a part of you that wants to grow, while another part clings to what is. This friction births pain because growth hurts. Letting go, cutting toxic ties, releasing what no longer serves you. This is mourning, an internal process of death and rebirth. And it is precisely in this ruin that something new can emerge. When certainties crumble and vulnerability is exposed, you see who you really are, without protection, performance, or mask. In that moment, suffering becomes sacred because it brings you to your knees before the only thing that can set you free, yourself. Individuation is tearing away the persona, facing your monsters, shame, anger, and neediness, and saying, I see you and you no longer control me. This internal clarity gives strength independent of approval or recognition. True emotional armor is not a shell. It is a core, an integrated center of consciousness that remains unshaken in storms. You may feel pain, but you do not break. You may be hurt, but you do not lose yourself. You stop living on the surface and begin to inhabit the depths. Depth comes at a price, distance and loneliness. Few can accompany you because most remain on the surface, masked and afraid of feeling. This distancing is not rejection, it is maturation. You no longer fit where you once hid. Finally, what shields you is not strength, it is clarity. Consciousness is the state in which nothing, absolutely nothing, has power over you. Let's finish this crossing together. We are almost there. Now that you've come this far, there is something that must be said clearly. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will shield you from external suffering if you remain unconscious of what happens within. Words will continue to hurt. Rejections will continue to sting. Losses will keep bringing you down until you awaken. Awakening is not a magical event. It is a daily choice. It is looking within, even when it hurts. It is taking responsibility for everything you feel, without blaming others, the past, or fate. Carl Jung said, what you resist persists. What you accept transforms. You have spent your whole life resisting. The fear of not being enough, the emptiness of rejection, the pain of loneliness, the anguish of not feeling seen. What did you do with all of that? You hid, you silenced yourself. You tried to control everything. You tried to be perfect. You tried to be strong. And all of it has brought you here exhausted, tired of fighting against the world and against yourself. But now you know, true emotional immunity is not hardness. It is clarity. It is not about creating armor. It is about expanding awareness. When you understand your triggers, your patterns, your wounds, the actions of others lose their power to destroy you. You still feel, but you don't drown. You still suffer, but you don't lose yourself, and that changes everything. What shields you is not protecting yourself from life. It is diving into it deeply. Those who live on the surface are hurt by any wave. Those who dive know silence, stability, and power down below. That is where you are headed. When you begin to live from that place of integration, presence, and acceptance, the world may try to knock you down, but it no longer finds where to hit you. If this video touched you, if something within you has awakened, write in the comments. I choose awareness. Let's start a movement of people who no longer want to survive by pretending to be strong, but to live with truth. And don't forget, the next video is also part of this journey. It is important. You need to keep going. Real transformation only begins when you don't stop at the first step. See you there.